My dear learners and viewers, this is Puranjay Biswas, Professor and Chairman, Department of English, Dhaka College, affiliated with the University of Dhaka. I welcome you to my today's lecture on Robert Frost's poem, The Road Not Taken. I want to discuss the summary of the poem, line by line, word for word. So please look at the whiteboard and follow the poem line by line, word for word that I want to explain. You know that The Road Not Taken is regarded as one of the finest and most popular poems in American literature. And this poem consists of 4 stanzas. Each stanza contains 5 lines. So, altogether, the poem contains 20 lines. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I couldn't travel both, and with one traveler long I stood, and looked down one as far as could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. 2 roads diverged. The speaker of this poem is a traveler. He was traveling in a wood, in a thick forest. While traveling, he stood at a fork from where 2 roads diverged and went to 2 different directions. Now the traveler is confused which path he should accept, which road he should take, and which one should not be taken. So this confusion and doubts that come to the mind of the traveler reflects, in fact, every man's conflict and doubts while choosing some option out of some more options. So the traveler now says that the wood was yellow. In fact, it is the month of autumn. So, the wood is yellow, taking the color of the month autumn. And the traveler regrets, the speaker regrets that he can't travel along the 2 roads because he is only one traveler. So, a traveler at the same time cannot travel by 2 roads. But the speaker, the traveler, has the curiosity and eagerness to walk along the 2 roads, but he can't, as he is only one traveler. So he stood long because he tries to come to the final decision about taking the road, and looked down one as far as I could. The traveler gazes at the first road and he tries to look at the road and observe the road for a long time, as much as possible for the traveler. He stands there as long as possible, observing the road. And the traveler can find that road bends in the undergrowth. Undergrowth means some grass, weeds, which become so high. So because of this undergrowth, the poet no more can see the road. That is, the road somewhere is lost because of the undergrowth. So thus the poet tries to observe and evaluate the road, the first road. Then what does he do? The second stage. Then took the other as just fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted well, though as for that passing there had owned them really about the same. Now the traveler follows the second road, the other road. And what is the characteristics of the second road? He says that this road is also beautiful, fair. And he observes that this road claims to be less traveled. As this road is less traveled and also beautiful, the traveler thinks that this road deserves to be taken by the speaker, because it was grassy and wanted well. What is the main reason for which the traveler decides to take the second road, rejecting the first one? The main reason is that this road is grassy as well as wanted well. The road is grassy means that very few travelers have traveled along this road, and it is not trodden. It is not much trodden. So grass grows, and there is the want of food. That is, this road is less traveled, less trodden. So it has become grassy, right? But the first road was not so grassy, and it is not so much trodden or traveled. So this is the main difference between the two roads. I think that you have understood the difference between the two roads. I repeat, the first road is much traveled, much trodden, and it is not grassy. But the second road is grassy as it is less traveled, less trodden. The first road is common, but the second one is uncommon, rare type of road. And this rarity makes the difference between the two roads. Though as for that passing there, have owned them really about the same. At the same time, the traveler realizes that if he travels by this second road, by this grassy and less trodden road, it would be gradually trodden, common by the passers-by. If the traveler follows this second road, if other passers-by follow the traveler, one day this uncommon road would be common, and it would be as trodden, as traveled as the first road, and then there would be no difference today or tomorrow, sooner or later. So the poet says that in course of traveling, the grassy, less trodden road would be worn out, and it would be just like the first one. However, at present, the traveler is sure that the first road is very common, familiar, it is well trodden. On the contrary, the second road is uncommon, it is grassy, less trodden. So he decides to walk along the second road. The first road is not selected by the traveler. Then what the traveler thinks? Let us discuss next part of the poem. I have already discussed the first two stanzas. Now let us focus on the other two stanzas of the poem. And both that morning equally lay, it leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the forest for another day, yet knowing how well is one to wear, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence, to roast diverse in a wood and I took the one less troubled by. That has made all the difference. My dear learners, now the traveler also hovers over the matter. He says that morning, that is in some past time, both the roads equally lay. Both the roads are almost the same in long ago. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Thinking so, the speaker, the traveler, decides to take the second road, and he leaves the first road for another day to be traveled. He has already mentioned that as he is only one traveler, he can't walk by the two roads at the same time. Now he decides finally to accept the second road, and he desires to walk by that left way for another day. He wants to walk by the first road next for some another day. In this context, I want to mention that there is man's eternal eagerness to know the unknown, to see the unseen, to explore the unexplored. The traveler has his inquisitiveness to know about the first road that he can't travel now. So it is his desire that one day he would come back to travel by this road. But he is again confused, yet knowing how way leads one to way. This is also the realization of the traveler that a road, a way leads us to another way. So, is it possible for one to come back from that endless road to walk by the first road, the road that not taken? There is philosophical and symbolic meaning behind this realization of the travelers. If we interpret this poem from a symbolic sense, we can interpret thus that the two roads, suppose the one is the way of our life and the other is the way to death. If we think the first one is the road symbolizing our present life on this earth, but the traveler chooses the path of death and eternity. Very few people can accept death. Most of us take the path of life. In fact, no one wants to die. No one wants to take the road to the path of death. And the traveler, just like in the poem, stuffing by wood in a snowy evening, I can give some explanation comparing these two poems. By stuffing, the poem stopping by wood in a snowy evening also has this symbolic meaning that the snowy evening, darkness, cold lake, all these in the poem, stopping by wood in a no evidence tells us about death. Which path does the speaker accept, either life or death? So there is also an option. In the present poem, that is the road not taken, can be also interpreted from that philosophical and symbolic sense. And if we take the path of death, is it possible for us to come back from that death? There is another life. There is eternal life. None can come back from the world of death to walk along the road of life. So there is still the confusion in the mind of the traveler whether it would be possible for him to come back to walk along the road not taken. So I shall be telling these with a sigh. So still the writer, the traveler, the poet has a regret. He is to pine for what is not. Somewhere ages and ages hence, now the traveler is thinking about the future. What would happen in future? Ages since. Then he would tell, focusing on his experience. Somewhere, two roads diverged in wood. The traveler would recollect the memory of his experience of taking one road and giving up another road. And this story he would tell to people from generation to generation regarding his experience, regarding his acceptance of one road and the rejection of the other road. I took the world less traveled by. In future, the traveler would tell us that, tell our generation that he took the less traveled, less trodden path. And that has made all the difference. And this is the evaluation of the traveler, that he has somewhat become different, uncommon, as he walks along the uncommon road, along the less traveled road. In fact, the traveler wants to mean that an uncommon path makes one uncommon. A different way of life makes one different. A rare path of life leads us to a rare achievement. So, the poet or the traveler in the conclusion wants to say that, in fact, there is the message, I do believe, in this poem. And what is the message? The message is that we should not take common, easy path of life. We should not accept the ordinary choice of life, simple career of life. Our goal should be beyond our reach, which is really unseen, uncommon, and different. Thus, if anyone accepts some road which is really distinguished, and this road would take us to a rare achievement of life, either death or life, whatever. And we should not regret for our choice. If we believe in destiny, in God, we can interpret that. What happens in our life is nothing but predestined. The roads are selected, and the road that I should walk is also predestined. In one sense, we are all the travelers, and we are traveling in the yellow wood of life. And the wood of life is very thick, dense, and we have to choose which one is right, which one is wrong, which is better off. It depends on the individual. Some path may be acceptable to some traveler, while the same path may be disinteresting, meaningless to some other traveler. But the implication that we get in this poem is that let us walk along the less traveled, uncommon road, which will make us different and distinguished. And that's all. All the best. See you next.